You're welcome back. This is Newsfile. It's your most authoritative news analysis platform, and here on Newsfile, we put Ghana first. And I continue on my take last week, speaking about and encouraging the GJA to keep blacklisting assaulters of journalists. I have come across what other very formidable people within the industry of journalism and journalism training have written, and actually have sought to urge caution about the method that the GJA is using, seeking to boycott errant politicians, persons who are abusing journalists and are not being held account by the system, persons who have influence over those who are abusing journalists by way of assault and are not being held accountable by the system. I've read what the Venerable George Sapong, Executive Secretary of the National Media Commission, has written. I cannot disagree with his position that to some extent, the journalists will be yielding a power they have and what they ought to do in a neutral sense to the wicked people or the errant politicians if they decided not to cover them or blacklist them. So if they did wrong, will the media cover it after you have blacklisted them? If they were involved in some corrupt deal, will the media seek to expose it because the people are entitled to know? Or the media will simply say, because we have blacklisted this individual, we'll not cover them anymore. Or a group, for example. I say, these are very legitimate issues raised. But in the circumstances we find ourselves, where journalists continue to be assaulted in the manner they are assaulted, abused and killed without any consequence for those who are involved and who are known, this approach must not be stopped. In 2018, July, there was a threat on Erastus Asare Donko of the Multimedia Group. 2021. The threat was issued by the famous member of parliament who wanted to become the presidential candidate of the NPP, Kenny Japan. The threat was on live television. I cannot repeat the things he said. The Multimedia Group filed an official petition to the police formally in July of 2021 against him. I led Erastus Asare Donko to the police, and we did what ought to be done. Till date, the police have done absolutely nothing about this open threat to that journalist. This unwarranted threat to beat the journalist up. They've done absolutely nothing about it. In fact, in December last year, under the auspices of the Ministry of Information, the project that they are seeking to use to help to protect journalists, the police were called to give an account of some of the issues they are dealing with as far as abuse and attacks on journalists are concerned. The police said, and this is at the very top, that the matter of the threat against Erastus Asare Donko had not been formally reported to the police. Meanwhile, if you went to Google this moment and just type multimedia petitions, police, over threats against Erastus Asaredonko, the petition itself will come up. Tell me why there is no justification for the GJA to black out and blacklist the errant politicians who are maiming and killing journalists. It was reported to police. We're in 2024. They've done absolutely nothing because we all know they feel the individual is above the law. You are aware that journalists from the modern Ghana Online, particularly the editor, Emmanuel Ajafo, were manhandled. They were brutalized by national security operatives. They were picked up from their offices, covered their faces with polythene bags and taken to that place. And the gentleman reported of assault, even though one was subsequently compromised, and he denied that anything had been done to him. The matter eventually ended up in court. The state sought to prosecute criminally, and that case failed so badly because he was dead at birth. The remaining editor, Emmanuel Ajafo, took up a civil suit and got orders from the court. As we speak today, almost 2 years into the court issuing those orders, and national security has not been bothered to pay the compensation and return all the gadgets that they seized from him, because they feel they are too powerful even than the courts. Tell me why the GJA should not use a convenient and simple mechanism like this one to protect its members. And that is my take.